What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Boom! Fights! We're back. UFC New Brunswick, Canada is where the last fight card was held. Didn't watch the whole card, watched the main card, some of the prelim fights. It was an okay card. You know, sometimes with these cards where it's a lot of people with, smaller names, sometimes you get really exciting fights. Now, there could have been some in the prelims, the early prelims that I didn't get to that were really exciting. But in the main card, there was 4 decisions and 2 submissions. So at least there were, a couple fights that ended quickly. There were a lot of decisions overall in the card. But this one was headlined by Anthony Smith and Volkan Ozdemir. Ozdemir coming off his loss to DC. And then Anthony Smith, I think this is his 3rd fight at light heavyweight. Big win for him. I don't remember my picks from last week, but I have a feeling that I picked him to win, or I wanted him to win. And he had a good game plan coming in. He knew that Ozdemir packed a heavy punch, so he knew he had to wear him down. So he grappled early, mainly, kind of trying to get a takedown, but more it seemed like just to hang on him, to be annoying, to sap his energy. And but he was throwing, he was getting hit, but he was also throwing some heat, and he was tagging Ozdemir over and over in this fight. Commentary a little questionable. I don't know. I'm really tired of this 3-man. It's every once in a while the 3-man table, the commentator group works, but I prefer 2. I mean, some of them have a good repertoire, or good rapport with each other. DC and Rogan do well. Dominic Cruz is just probably the worst that they have. But this one was okay. It was Jimmy Smith and fucking dude that used to be in the UFC, and I'm blanking on his name right now. Fought GSP, had Red Mohawk, Dan Hardy. Bam. Which they're both really good. And commentary was fine. I don't know why I'm picking on the commentary. I don't know why I'm doing that. Although they did seem to be pretty heavy on Ozdemir. A few other fights too. They I don't know. Sometimes they do that where it's just it's like we're watching 2 different fights. They think it's more one-sided than it is. But Anthony Smith did great in the 3rd round, was able to get his back, Ozdemir's back, and sink in the rear naked choke. After a few attempts, Ozdemir, fighting off as much as he could, but got his nose broken, just, ran out of energy, and Smith was able to capitalize and finish it off. Good win for him. He called for a title shot, so we'll see. I don't necessarily think he can beat Gustafsson or John Jones or DC. I don't know if DC will ever fight in light heavyweight again, but I don't think he would win that fight. The light heavyweight's pretty light though, so I'm happy that there is an up and comer with Anthony Smith that might be able to, and he had a good game plan coming in. So it'd be interesting to see him against these other people. Previously fighting at middleweight, now light heavyweight, and he's kind of taking people to task. Michael Johnson beat Artem Lobov. Artem Lobov's probably one of the most overrated fighters that's in the UFC. He now has a losing record, 14 wins with 15 losses, 1 draw, 1 no contest. He's not fun to watch. He just gets hit. He has his hands down. He just takes punches and then throws swinging punches, and it's just like he's basically like Justin Gaethje without all of the technique. Like Justin Gaethje has way better technique, way better fighting style, way more intelligent, but still doesn't mind getting in brawls. It's just Gaethje's exciting to watch, and Lobov he acts like he goes in like he has this. He's indestructible. Like he's got this fucking attitude where it's like I don't know. His body language in the fight, just whatever. He's overrated. I get it. He's Conor McGregor's dude. Trains with Conor. He's got a ton of followers. Got a bunch of like just uneducated eyeballs watching him fight, but they're just horrible. And then the Diaz guy that he fought forever ago, the Diaz guy was even worse. Silva, I don't know. He fought like twice. There's Caitlin Curran is the other like most overrated. She has like one win in the UFC, which is like a mild, like it was probably, I don't know if she has a decisive win in the UFC, but she has one win out of like 5 losses. Like 1 out of 6 fights she's won in the UFC, but she hasn't been cut. It's insane how some people just stick around forever in the UFC, and then some people get cut right away. I don't get it at all. Lobov looked horrible. Michael Johnson looked all right coming in, short notice, didn't make weight. Lobov seems like a nice guy. All the shit, I don't really care to watch him fight ever again, but he seems like a nice guy. I'm sure he's a great training partner for Conor. I think Khabib and his team, picking on Lobov to kind of start all of that beef is fucking bullshit, but it is what it is. Like, I don't really give a shit about Lobov. I don't care. I hope he doesn't fight again. He lost. Ed Herman versus Volante. Volante, another kind of overrated fighter. He kind of has that old school mentality of just like, I'm just going to go in and just look sloppy and get hit a bunch. But he got a win over Ed Herman, Ed Herman's been around for a while, but it's another split decision. Court McGee getting a nice win over Alex Garcia, just grinded him out. Overall, a decent card, but nothing too spectacular. News, there is a trade that's happened between one championship and the UFC. UFC is giving one Demetrius Johnson, and the UFC is getting Ben Askren, which is... He's never gets hit. He's kind of got like a Khabib kind of style where he wrestles a lot, but he doesn't pretend. I'm sure his striking is probably better than Khabib's, but I don't think I don't think I've ever seen Ben Askren fight. Seen him be interviewed on Rogan. I've seen him be interviewed on MMA Hour. I've seen him. Great talker. Kind of sounds a lot like Chael Sonnen. Like he sounds like a younger Chael Sonnen. Better at shit talking than Chael Sonnen too. I think he has more of like that surfer vibe. But shit talk. Went on fire on Twitter, calling out everybody in the 170-pound division. I'm excited to see him. Demetrius Johnson, I feel bad that he was never able to be a draw in the UFC. Like he broke records as far as defending his title more than Anderson Silva, more than anybody else did. But he also defended it in a division that's probably going to be eliminated. It's the weakest by far division. Never was a draw. At his only opportunity to like have a big draw fight, he backed out of it. So it's kind of a little lackluster from Demetrius Johnson. And then his press conference, there's this interview that he did where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be like Eddie Alvarez and just win belts and all these It's like, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. That is something Eddie Alvarez has done with his legacy, gone to all these different like, if anything, you got the UFC belts, and you're going to get a 1 belt, and maybe you have belts from previous organizations, but I don't think you're going anywhere else from 1. Maybe you have a few fights in 1. Maybe you go to Bellator, get a belt there if they have that division. I don't know. It's just he's trying to sell a bad product with whatever he was trying to sell of it being like, oh, just it's like you just got traded from the biggest MMA organization ever for a guy that Dana White has like publicly denounced because of his fighting style. But anyway, coming up, UFC 230, real quick. My picks: Daniel Cormier versus Derek Lewis. I want Derek Lewis to knock out Daniel Cormier. That would be amazing. I want Chris Weidman to beat Jacare Souza. Jared Cannonane beating David Branch. Let's see, what else? Derek Brunson versus Israel Adesanya. I got Stylebender against Derek Brunson. Jason Knight over Jordan Rinaldi. That's it. There's a bunch of fights. It looks like a great card. I'm looking forward to UFC 230, and I'll talk about it in the next episode. That's it for this one. InspiredDisorder.com for all of my work. At Ray Taylor for me everywhere online. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out!